It's day 9 of the swimming competition as we welcome you to the Tokyo Aquatic Center for the preliminary session. It is on a day that will see 15 medal swims. This is, however, the heats, which allows, of course, 8 competitors to advance to a final. There are 13 sets of heats to be swum, 29 in total, before the 8 finalists for each of the events are confirmed. And what swimming competition we've seen so far already with RPC and People's Republic of China doing particularly well, Italy, Ukraine as well, and the United States recently into double figures in terms of gold medals won. On the schedule for you today, we're going to be starting off with the 400 freestyle S6 for men and women. We've got butterfly S9 for you to enjoy, 100-meter backstroke S10, and we've also got some sprints towards the closing end, with the lower classifications going in, and Team Mexico should be among the more excited contingents for today's races. We begin with the men's 400-meter freestyle S6, but Deb, just a quick thought on the morning's session.
So I'd say the ones to watch would be the women's 400 freestyle S6. You've got Nora Meister going up against Mareshko, and then the two Brits, Ellie Simmons and Macy Summers-Newton. Ellie Simmons has not won an individual medal here yet, so she's going to be on a tear. And then another one would be the men's S250 back. We see Arujo, and we know he's a character, going up against Abarsa and Bondarenko. And then, of course, closing it out, Yip Pinshu in the women for the 50 back. That should be good.
We begin with the men's 400-meter freestyle S6, the first heat of 2. The delegation from Cuba is watching on because one of the legends of Paralympic swimming goes in the opening heat in an event in which the world record has not been broken since Anders Olsson set it in 2009, the champion of Beijing the previous year, man from Sweden. They're going in the 400 free S6 startless, the first heat. Lorenzo Perez of Cuba, one of the all-time greats. Andre Ganitska will have a go. And Taliesin Glock, who can set fast times in preliminaries and get himself decent lanes for finals, will be going as well. The competitors will make their way to the pool deck shortly. Unlike the final session, they will not be introduced separately. They will come out together. One of the great sports of the Paralympic Games, paraswimming, behind athletics in terms of participation numbers, but certainly one of the great sports of para sport across the board at the Paralympic Games. Again, glorious conditions all around this venue. The warm-up pools, the diving well, the actual pool that is used for competition, 10 lanes wide, 25 meters across, 50 meters in length. So the S6 classification, men's 400 freestyle first on the cards. There are 6 swimmers that go in the opening heat. There'll be 7 that go in the second heat. And swimmers will aim to post a time in the top 8 overall. There is the Cuban legend. In 2016, after being around for quite some time, he became the very first ever Paralympic Games swimming gold medalist from Cuba, and that was in the 100 free. He missed out on the final of the 100 free by mere hundredths of a second. Maybe an opportunity for him to get himself back into podium contention in the 400 free. Going alongside him, though, Andre Granichka of RPC. He's already won gold in the 100-meter breaststroke, and Taliesin Glock will go alongside him. A man who not only hails from Brazil, but has managed to claim a number of medals already at the Paralympic Games. But just with the one arm, the heavy tattoo sleeve down that right arm for Taliesin Glock. Hit by a train as a youngster. Should cause the amputations on the left side of his body, left leg and left arm. But he's having a very good meet. in water start for Granička in 5. Glock gets away very nicely. Perez into the water he goes and immediately into his stroke, but Glock is leading the way in the early stages. 400 freestyle, so 8 lengths of this Olympic-sized pool. And you can expect Taliesin Glock to go out hard. He does tend to want to put in the good times. Perhaps a confidence booster for him to go into a final knowing that he can swim decent times.
Yeah, definitely. And then the other swimmer I'd say here to watch out for is Granička. Granička was second at World Championships to Antonio Fontin, not the world record holder, but the champion at the 2019 World Championships in London. If there's anyone that could potentially challenge the world record, it would be Fontin going in this next heat. But Glock is definitely going to want to hang with him, and he's probably going to want one of those center lanes so that he can keep an eye on Fontin the whole time. Granička, though, right now, he's in 4th place. He's falling behind a little bit, but he has a very strong second half. So we would expect him to start to make his move, maybe the next 100 or even the one after.
And certainly, Fontin, who goes in the second heat, is undoubtedly the favorite for the gold medal, the fastest time in the world this year, the best time in Madeira, in Funchal in May, where he won his first continental title. But right here, right now, Granička has really been the only para swimmer in the last couple of years who's been able to stick with him. But this is Taliesin Glock, and he's riding a good wave of confidence, is Taliesin Glock, and he's got plenty of leg power.
Definitely. I mean, one thing that's important for him is that because he only has that one right arm and the right leg, is that he maintained the stroke the entire time. It's hard as he gets more into the 400, the 3 and the 400. Once that arm and the leg start to tire out, that's where the swimmers that have the use of both arms are going to start to try to make their move.
So Taliesin Glock and Juan Gutierrez, who goes for Mexico in the second heat with his brother, they've actually posted faster times than Granička this year. So although Granička finished second in the European Championships, this year Glock and Gutierrez have been posting the times closer to Fontin. And Glock is swimming to that sort of time now. The split coming up to the 200 as Glock just eases his way. Going alongside him, though, in lane 3 is Vyacheslav Lenski of RPC. Lenski is making up a little bit of time here. He's up to within 3 odd seconds of Taliesin Glock.
He is in one place where Lenski is really doing a great job in trying to not only keep an eye on Glock, but also try and take some lead over Granička is on the turns. You can see that Granička, he does not have the best of turns. He really doesn't get anything off the walls, whereas Lenski, he doesn't get so much of a push, but he is able to use his walls a little bit more effectively. He comes into and out of them a bit quicker.
But Lenski is making up a little ground on Glock here. When you go to the 250-meter mark, you really want to be getting yourself into position to make your biggest move around the 300. After that, it's going to be too difficult to catch any swimmers if they are getting away from you. Perez just falling a little off the pace here. But Glock is leading the way, despite the fact that Lenski is closing, going from 3 alongside him. And Granička is up in 3rd at the moment as Perez drops back. And there is Lenski. Bear in mind, a bronze medalist at both the European and World Championships is Lenski. He's quietly gone about his business without much fanfare and doesn't quite get the recognition perhaps he deserves.
But right now, I mean, Glock is way out there, but Lenski, he's really managed to make up some time. You could see him start to creep up during that 3rd 100, but now Glock, he's really going to turn it on his way home. You see him start to splash a little bit more with that leg. Perhaps the arm stroke is going to increase pace a little bit, but he's so far ahead, he can sort of put it on cruise control for this preliminary swim, because there's no doubt that he's going to take this heat unless there's a huge charge at the end from Lenski.
Oh, that is what Glock likes to do. Go to the front, and he does have great leg power with that right kick, and certainly not seeming to let up with the intensity of the swim. As Glock turns at the 350 mark, it's Taliesin Glock of Brazil who is well and truly in front. It's now a 4-second lead over Lenski, so just leaving Lenski behind. Maybe not completely on cruise control, but he's going to bring it home relatively easily.
Yeah, and then Granička coming up in the third place right now. You know, Granička, he looks smooth, he looks pretty calm, but Lenski, he's put quite a bit of distance between himself and Granička, which is surprising given how strong that Granička has been in prior years. But, you know, as you noted, he hasn't really been so close to his times before, so you never really know what's going to happen during finals.
Glock touches first then ahead of Lenski, and indeed Granička is going to make his way to the wall third overall. Perez will be coming home in fourth, but Taliesin Glock, good swim from the Brazilian. And his ability to recover is almost legendary in Brazil. He should have plenty left for the final. Vyacheslav Lenski with a second place touch with Granička, also of RPC, gold medalist already in the breaststroke, coming home third. Perez touching fourth overall, and fifth was Leo McRae of Switzerland, a 5:40.08 for him, well outside his personal best. While Gary Bigino of Philippines comes to the wall now, he too well outside his PB. But Taliesin Glock a 5:06, and that's a pretty good time to post. 5 minutes would have been ideal, but a 5:06 is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, and you know, 5 minutes, certainly if possible, Fantine is going to go under 5 minutes, if not this morning, definitely tonight. And here's Glock, just that very powerful stroke. He's only got that one single arm on the right and the use of the right leg, but he makes the most of it. He's very efficient in the water, and he keeps up the kick and the arm speed really throughout, even when he appeared to kind of start to shut it down at the end, although 5:06 is a good time for him. Lenski, he took off 3 seconds from his C time, and Granička, he was a bit slower this morning, but you never know with him during finals.
Confirming the results, it is Taliesin Glock of Brazil who leads by 5 odd seconds over Vyacheslav Lenski. Andrei Granička third overall, and Perez will be watching the time with his 5:26 in the hope of sneaking into the final. To the second heat of 2 we go in this 400-meter freestyle S6. Patrick Flanagan of Ireland is making his first appearance, going in lane 1, but the man to watch is the man in lane 4. Fantine going for Italy, flanked by 2 capable Mexicans. And the Gutierrez brothers getting underway. They're swimming on either side of Fantine here. The 21-year-old elder brother, Raul, who has one of the fastest times in the world this year, goes alongside Fantine, who goes in 4, but it is the younger brother, Juan Jose, who is looking to push the pace a little early on here. Both Gutierrez brothers, though, have improved their times impressively since the World Championships in 2019. Raul's taken off around 17 seconds, while Juan Jose has taken off over 20 seconds in this event, and it is he who touches first at the 50 ahead of Fantine, with Videira of Portugal third.
One thing I love to watch about Fantine when he swims is that when he comes, he does the in-water start. He doesn't use the block, so he doesn't have the advantage of the height. But so he always starts off a little bit behind, but then he manages to make up so much ground. If you look at him right now, he's got that very slow, very controlled, very deliberate stroke. Gutierrez, he's stroking a lot faster in order to maintain that lead over him, and he does look like he's starting to challenge Fantine. He loses a little bit on every single wall in comparison to Gutierrez, but Fantine, he's just got this control about him. Like, you know, he's so strong in this 400. Gutierrez, he is trying to put a little bit of pressure on Fantine, but, you know, Fantine, especially during the second 100 and the third 100, that's where he's going to try and make his move and come back.
So Fantine has certainly the bigger reach and has the better pull in the water, but this is the 20-year-old Gutierrez, the younger of the brothers. I should say there's 3 brothers, in fact. He's not the youngest. He's the younger of the brothers competing in this race. There's a third Gutierrez brother, Jesus, who also competes in para-swimming, but it's just the 2 brothers, Juan Jose and Raul of Mexico, who've made their way to the Paralympic Games here in Tokyo.
Fontaine does look like he's taking it fairly comfortably. He's swimming pretty comfortably during this preliminary swim, which is fine. It's expected for him. You know, unclear whether or not he's going to be happy letting Gutierrez take the preliminary swim. So he's probably going to try and come back during that third 100, given just what a dominant swimmer he is and how competitive. And already you see him starting to make up. Here he goes with that longer stroke coming into the wall on Gutierrez. It's this third 100. It's the back half of the 400 where he likes to, you know, come back.
So this is a relatively slow heat in comparison to the first one, where Taliesin Glock put up some decent pace going out. He was under 2 minutes 30 going out. This is a 2:35 for the swimmers in the second heat. And Fontaine is still very much off the shoulder of Juan Jose Gutierrez. Mexican swimmers have seen their times drop so substantially, but they've also been recently training with the Center for Paralympic Games in Mexico, a wonderful training facility, so has helped them improve. They've had to look at their swimming a little more holistically as well, which includes everything from nutrition right the way through to physio treatments. That Fontaine is now leading the way. Videira of Portugal is managing to hold on to that third spot, just ahead of Raul Gutierrez, but in front it is his younger brother Juan Jose, who maintains this advantage, and it looks like he's almost increased the advantage. There's Videira of Portugal. It's good to see Videira going well, the 29-year-old, in only his second event of these championships.
Yeah, during the, I'd say the 250, it actually looked like Fontaine was going to come back at Gutierrez and start to take over the lead. Here comes Fontaine a little bit right now. You know, Fontaine, he was really looking controlled, smooth. He was kind of out for, you know, an early morning swim, it looked like, during that first 300. But right now, I think here he is starting to put a lot of pressure on Gutierrez. He's going to go right past him now in this 350.
Well, this is where he's going to make his move. He certainly has the reach advantage. Will use that wingspan and will come up alongside Juan Jose Gutierrez. Is there any response from the Mexican swimmer? He'll get something off the wall, but other than that, the advantage is going to be with Fontaine. Once Fontaine is into his stroke, you'd have to argue that Fontaine is going to be on his way.
Yeah, and this is something that some of these swimmers like to do. They like to go fairly controlled during the preliminaries, but they just can't help themselves when someone is right next to them and they're going to beat them. They just kind of have to go for the win, even if it's a slow time. They don't care. They just want their hand on the wall first. And
Fontaine is going to get that here, as Gutierrez shows that he has the ability to medal in this event at the Paralympic Games. Fontaine will come to the wall first. The 100-meter free champion touches ahead of Juan Jose Gutierrez. His brother looks like he will touch third, just ahead of Videira, who was second at the 2018 European Champs, but fourth in Funchal. He'll be fourth again here as he does touch behind Raul Gutierrez. Going in lane 7, Zach Shuddock is fifth home, while Crispin Corso, who we would normally be considering as a contender in arguably his weakest event, will touch sixth overall, and Patrick Flanagan is home now. Antonio Fontaine, 5:12.08. Significantly slower in the second heat than in the first.
And right there in that shot, you can see the wide variety of starts that the different swimmers use. You see Fontaine with that in-water start, Gutierrez having the advantage right off the block. And it was Gutierrez who led for 325 meters of this race. Gutierrez, he had the advantage off of every wall over Fontaine. But then Fontaine decided to wake up and come back and take this heat right at the end, where he proved just what a dominant swimmer he is in this 400. He just blew past Gutierrez in the final 100. And, you know, Fontaine, of course, 5:12.08, not a good time for him at all, but it doesn't matter. It's the preliminaries. As long as he gets himself into the finals, he's going to go very quick tonight. The only one who could really potentially challenge him would be Glock, maybe Lenski, and Granichka. Not that fast this morning, but never count him out.
So Antonio Fantin of Italy, a 5:12.08 as he wins the second heat of 2 in the men's 400 freestyle S6 ahead of the Gutierrez brothers, the younger Juan Jose over Raul. Advancing to the final is Glock ahead of Lenski. Fantin qualifying third fastest, but don't worry about the qualifying times. Both Gutierrez brothers are into the final. Granichka will be dangerous. Perez is comfortably in, and Videra, after a good swim, is into the final. Now for the women's 400-meter freestyle S6. First heat featuring none other than the gold medalist at the last 2 games and a bronze medalist at the 2 of the last 3 games and a bronze medalist at the last games in Ellie Simmons. This is her final event in Tokyo. He's yet to medal. Nora Meister is the world record holder. She'll go in heat 2. But the reigning world champion will be going in lane 4, the 16-year-old Zhang Yuyan. And Zhang Yuyan, 50 fly gold, 100 free bronze, the reigning world champion. She might only be 16, but she is very fast over this event. Grace Harvey of Great Britain going in 6. She gets off to a good start, but it is Zhang Yuyan off to a sensational start again. Song Ling Ling wearing a very bright pink swim cap going in lane 3 alongside Zhang, who's leading the way as Grace Harvey looks to stick alongside Eleanor Simmons as the great British swimmers go in 5 and 6. There is Song Ling Ling, easily identifiable with that incredibly bright pink swim cap. A little bit disappointing for Song Ling Ling. She's swum in 4 events already and she's failed to medal in any of them. And somebody who's certainly a better swimmer than someone and some of the other competitors who might have medaled at these games. She would have been expecting at least a podium place somewhere along the line. But this is not her strongest event either.
Now, Zhang Yuyan, she's out fast. You can see she is using her left arm and her left leg to stay consistent and just pull herself across the water. She's got that stroke that's very similar to Taliesin Glock. So again, important that she maintains that arm speed and that kick. She's got a huge advantage on the walls. You can see how far her kick is coming off of every single wall. But right now, hanging in there nicely is Ellie Simmons. Ellie, she's got a great back half. It's hard for her to keep up with the stroke of Zhang Yuyan and as well as with Nora Meister and Mereshko that you're gonna see in that next heat right now. But Ellie Simmons, she's such a well-trained swimmer. She, you know, sometimes she can even negative split this race at times. I don't know if we're gonna see that from her today at all, but she needs to be able to hang in there and keep Zhang Yuyan in her sights if she wants to get on the podium.
So yeah, Ellie Simmons does have that ability, and she has on occasion swum the second half of this race faster than she's swum the first, as she turns second at the wall, but that is some margin behind, over 5 seconds behind Zhang Yuyan, who took that gold medal at the London World Championships 2 years ago. Song Ling Ling, incidentally, who is the world champion from 2017 in Mexico City, is just a little way off the pace here. It's the 2 British swimmers, Ellie Simmons and Grace Harvey, who are squeezed in between the 2 Chinese swimmers. A great view of where they are positioned here. It is Zhang who's going to come to the wall. The world champion is showing that she has plenty of energy here. Again, all control. It's a one arm and one leg kick, but she has such control.
She really does, and she's using a quicker stroke here. She has to maintain that arm speed throughout, because once either the leg or the arm gets tired, she's pretty much done in this race. You know, it's important that she puts a lot of distance between her, Ellie Simmons, Grace Harvey, Nora Meister, and Mereshko in that next heat, because they're going to be strong in that second half, where Zhang, it's possible that she starts to fatigue. This is the 400-meter freestyle. It's 8 lengths of the pool. It's the longest event that you have available in the S6 classification. You know, for classes 1 through 5, they only go up to the 200, and then 6 through 10, they do get to swim the 400. So that means that these swimmers, they need a lot of endurance.
She's looking like she has plenty of power left. That's it. You don't want to outswim yourself. And every so often you see swimmers swinging themselves out in the early stages of a race, or indeed in preliminaries. But Zhang Yuyan looks to be swimming within herself.
She does, and she's well off of the world record at this point, but she is going to want to challenge Nora Meister in that second heat and post a respectable time, because for someone like Zhang, it's important that she's seated in the finals next to Nora Meister to ensure that she's not out of her sights. You know, one of the dangers that you can sometimes have in the preliminaries is that if you take it too easy and then you're in an outside lane, then you can't see what's going on in the center. On the other hand, sometimes being an outside lane is great because then you get clean water. And so it's really just a matter of preference.
So a turn coming before a 50-meter free ride home for Zhang Yuyan. It is Ellie Simmons alongside her in lane 5, who is looking to pull away from Grace Harvey in the final 100 meters. And with 50 meters to go, she's got a substantial lead over Grace Harvey. Song Ling Ling is trailing a little further behind as well. So China's, well, the great British swimmers are separated by 5 odd seconds here. Somebody who is well ahead of anybody else in the pool is Zhang Yuyan. The reigning world champion is going to come home very comfortably here and post a time of 5:14.52, a Paralympic record for Zhang Yuyan, outside of world record time, but that's the kind of time that she'll be looking to post in the final. Zhang Yuyan, no signs of showing up or letting up any energy there, as Ellie Simmons touches second, with Grace Harvey third quickest. Song Ling Ling will come home 4th overall. But a Paralympic record in the opening heat of 2. You don't often see that with the longer races because you want to be conserving the energy for finals. There's Evelyn Saraj of Hungary and Fanny Illich, her compatriot, come home 5th and 6th. Confirming Zhang Yuyan as the victor. A 5:14.52 for the Chinese swimmer.
Now Zhang Yuyan, right off the blocks, she gets such an advantage over the swimmers like Ellie Simmons coming off the blocks here. She has such a strong dive, and then she goes right into her stroke. You can see her using that left arm and the left leg very efficiently. She has a very high turnover speed, which is important for someone like her. And then she uses every wall so effectively, really working on that underwater kick, always breathing to the left here. But what's so critical is that she maintains her stroke rate throughout, and she doesn't even appear to fatigue that much, even in a 400 meters, which is, you know, of course, the longest distance here. And a 5:14.52, she was definitely trying to send a message, I'd say, to Nora Meister in that second heat by posting a Paralympic record.
I've heard it loud and clear, the message. Zhang Yuyan has managed to claim Paralympic record time on her way to victory in the women's 400-meter freestyle S6 first heat, with Grace Harvey third, Ellie Simmons second. The second heat start list that includes Maisie Summers-Newton, already a champion at these games. Nora Meister is the one to watch, the Swiss swimmer who goes in lane 4. She's won the 2017 and 2019 European Championships. She's also the world record holder. On her way to glory at the European Championships. So Meister goes in 4, but let's not take anything away from the Rio Paralympic champion, Elizaveta Mareshko, who goes in lane 5. Maisie Summers-Newton, she'll be pushing for a medal, I have no doubts. The Great British swimmers have tended to do rather well in this event. And Ellie Simmonds is certainly foremost when you think of British swimmers in this event, the women's 400-meter freestyle. But Grace Harvey has posted a decent time in the opening heat, and Maisie Summers-Newton will look to follow that up too. But Meister, third at the World Championship, swimming as an S7 swimmer, though. She was reclassified shortly after the last World Championship, so swimming now as an S6. And that should say she's got to be the favorite.
Yeah, and looking at her right next to Mareshko, you know, I'd say in the first 50, Meister was stroking a little bit faster. Meister, she's appeared to slow down in her stroke maybe just slightly. Mareshko's got that more controlled stroke. And then right on the left there, Maisie Summers-Newton is hanging in there with them. She needs to have a faster turnover rate if she wants to continue to keep up. But Meister right now with the slight advantage over Mareshko, but Mareshko, not only does she love to race, but she doesn't care when and why. I mean, she goes out strong in preliminary. She doesn't care. Mareshko just hates to lose. We saw her break the world record during the 200 IM during preliminaries.
That's exactly it. And somebody who went on to claim the gold medal in the 100 breast and in the 50 free. She's a medalist as well in the 100 freestyle and the 200 IM. Elizaveta Mareshko loves to win. From Kherson in Ukraine. And she is battling now against Nora Meister and Summers-Newton of Great Britain, Maisie Summers-Newton. Maisie Summers-Newton is at the moment looking to touch second or third. She touches second, just half a second back of or ahead of Mareshko. Sara Vargas of Colombia has come through 5th. And Meister is just edging away now from the swimmers around her, just showing that she is the class act and the one to catch.
Yeah, and Meister, you know, you have to wonder, did she see Zhang Yuyan's Paralympic record set in the prior heat right now? She does look to be going on a tear. Maisie Summers-Newton, though, putting some distance between herself and Mareshko. Maisie Summers-Newton, again, with that strong back half, but never count out Mareshko. You never know what she has in the tank during that second half. Mareshko, she's going to want to keep these two swimmers in her sight and not let them get too far ahead. Right here, you could potentially be looking at your gold, silver, and bronze winners during tonight's final.
The fact that Meister was swimming with S7s until a year ago, I mean, that surely gives her somewhat of an advantage in this. She was swimming with faster swimmers for much of her competitive career, and now she's been reclassified to an S6. She won her first title as an S6 at the European Championships in world record time. And here she is, just leading the way, almost 2 body lengths ahead now of Mareshko.
Yeah, and one thing that Nora Meister does is every single time she turns, she's actually pretty far away from the wall. And when she does that, that means that as soon as her legs start to extend, she doesn't have to really make up anything. She's already extended and she can go right into her stroke, even though she doesn't really get a push off from the wall at all. Mareshko next to her also doesn't really get anything from either one of the walls, so it's important that they attack each one of those walls and they don't let themselves glide in or anything, because they're not going to get a push to make up any of that speed. Maisie Summers-Newton, though, she does have some use of the wall. She does get the push off, and so she can use that to her advantage. Right now, though, Mareshko, she's just taking it over from Maisie Summers-Newton. Yeah,
Summers-Newton is battling to keep up. She's a very high tempo, but she doesn't get as much from each stroke. And traditionally really good with the kicks in the water is Maisie Summers-Newton. But this again, multiple events that she's already swum at these games. Maisie Summers-Newton in her first Paralympic Games at the age of 19. In her first 2 events, though, she's won gold. The women's 100-meter breaststroke and indeed the women's 200-meter individual medley, where she beat Mareshko.
But here comes Mareshko during this final 350. You know, for a few minutes there, it started to look like she was starting to pull up a little bit on Nora Meister. But Meister, she's now extending the lead as she goes into this final 350.
A turn for the Swiss swimmer. It's the kind of swim that you want to produce when you are swimming in a final so that you can romp to a victory. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing it in the preliminaries. The 18-year-old, a Paralympic debut, somebody who's broken multiple world records this year. And that is 6 400-meter freestyle world record she set at the European Championships, having smashed other world records as well. She comes home very comfortably ahead of Mereshko, with Maisie Summers-Newton touching third quickest overall. That was a very comfortable swim from Nora Meister. 5:23, by far the slowest of the heats, but as the world record holder, she will feel some confidence heading into the final, undoubtedly. So going in lane one, the Icelandic swimmer Bjornsdóttir, while coming home now is Ayala Tafik of Egypt, the 21-year-old from Cairo, who finished just outside the qualifying time for the 400 freestyle final in Rio. But did finish on the podium at the Mexico City World Championships in 2017. For Bjornsdóttir, she enters the final stage here. She made the final of the women's 100 breaststroke, and she will come home now. So Meister, world record holder, taking it very easy. 1, 2, 3 for Meister, Mereshko and Maisie.
And here coming off the blocks, you can see Meister, she's got a very slow start. Mereshko is actually faster into the water than Meister is, but then Meister, you see this fast stroke rate that she keeps up throughout the 400. And these three swimmers, Mereshko, Meister, and Maisie Summers-Newton, all very dominant swimmers in the 400. Meister, she just continued to extend her lead. At one point, Mereshko started to catch her a bit, but then Meister, that last 350, she just took off. A very easy swim for her this morning, 5:23.91. You know, I do think it's going to be a huge race tonight between her and Zhang Yuyan, who posted a very quick time of 5:14, but was that too quick for preliminaries? We will see. So
Meister ahead of Mereshko, Maisie Summers-Newton third for Great Britain. Leila Suziganabate for Brazil touches fourth fastest at 5:39. Sara Margas Blanco. So advancing from the opening heats, Zhang Yuyan with the Paralympic record up against the world record holder in the final. They'll be in the two center lanes, with the defending champion Mereshko swimming outside of Yuyan on the other side, and three Great British swimmers into the final. Now for the heats of the men's 100-meter butterfly S9. 3 heats. Going in the first, Federico Morlacchi. He'll be the one to watch in the opening heat. He's had some incredible finishes, as Morlacchi. And Simon Chuli in the background of your shot. Jose Antonio Maria going alongside him. There is Morlacchi. Now, this Italian has got some incredible finishing power. And in the 100 fly, you can see bodies getting tired in the closing stages sometimes. Morlacchi is not likely to be among those swimmers who might be fading in the closing stages. He has a very fast finish. The 2019 world champion Morlacchi goes in 4. Slowest reaction time, though, from the reigning world champion Morlacchi, but expect him to go out well. Chuli will chase a bit in the opening 25 or so and sees himself almost up in a line with the three other swimmers. Only really Manilton Filho of Brazil who's dropping off the pace here, but pushing in 5 is Mari of Spain.
Now Morlacchi touching third there after the first 50. He had a pretty slow start, which is not that much of a surprise for him, but here comes Morlacchi. He's such a strong finisher, and also he was disqualified in the 200-meter individual medley previously, so he's going to be on a tear to try and get himself on the medal stand.
I expect a very strong finish from Morlacchi. Has he got it here against the Spaniard, who is coming home with some venom, some power, and holding him at bay. Mari manages to touch ahead of Morlacchi. So 1 minute, 0.97 seconds for Spain's Jose Mari. That's a good swim. You can go sub 1 minute. You'll be happy with your time in the preliminaries.
Now off the starts, Morlacchi didn't have the best of starts, but that's not a surprise for him. It was really Maria Alcaraz that went out so quickly during this first 50, but Morlacchi, he still put in a solid swim. And then this turn for Morlacchi, what a beautiful turn. I mean, he really used the underwater here. And now you see Morlacchi start to come back for this finish. This is where he's so strong. It's the back half of this 100 fly. Maria Alcaraz, though, he had the advantage from the first 50, and he used it to get himself that first place finish in this first heat.
Results for you, just confirming 1 through 5. Jose Maria of Spain ahead of 2 Italians, Federico Morlacchi and Simone Ciulli. To the second heat of 3 in the men's 100-meter butterfly S9, and Simone Barlam goes for Italy in lane 4. Jacopo Garrido is a quality swimmer. There is Barlam, hoping to live up to expectation. He shared the gold medal with Morlacchi at the last Worlds. Jesse Reynolds of New Zealand goes in 7. Barry McClements of Ireland going in 6. Shaliuk of RPC goes in 5. Vincetic of Croatia in 3. And Garrido of Spain goes in 2. But it is Barlam who's looking to lead the way in the early stages.
Barlam, he is the king of the sprints, as we've already seen in the 50-meter freestyle. So you can always expect Barlam to take it out fast. That's exactly what he's doing here. Where Barlam sometimes struggles, though, is during the second 50. He needs to be able to bring it home, especially against swimmers like Will Martin that you're going to see in the next heat. And even right now,
even in the 100-meter backstroke, where he failed to medal, you saw something similar, where he was well within medal contention and then finished 5th and outside the medals. But in this, one of his favorite events, you don't expect too many to be challenging Barlam. And he will come to the wall now and touch ahead of Skaliuk of RPC and Vincetic of Croatia. So 1 minute, 0.71 seconds. Slightly quicker heat. There is Alexander Skaliuk, the 27-year-old. He's already been Paralympic Games champion 5 times, not necessarily all in this event.
now Barlam, he doesn't have the best start here, though. His start, it was okay, but he does get out to a quick start, as we would expect from him. Where he sometimes has trouble, though, is that second 50, and here coming into that first 50, he is first, and he just has that huge wingspan, which he continues to use to his advantage throughout the whole way. He breathes a little bit to his right, he gets a peek at the swimmer, and then he goes 1:00.71. It's a comfortable swim for him. It's over a second off of his seed time, and you saw his face afterwards. An okay swim on his end.
Barlam ahead of Skaliuk with Vincetic third. Barry McClements with a 1:02.83. To the third and final heat we go, where two Australians will be fancied. While Brendan Hall is physically looking good and mentally it seems strong, the swimming times have not come. The two Australians that'll be ones to watch will be William Martin, or Will Martin, in your screen. He's already won 2 golds in 3 events here at Tokyo 2020, and alongside him, Tim Hodge. Braunschweig, Schalkenau, Gregorowicz and Brendan Hall outside of them. Martin got off to a very good start there, and as he breaks water, he comes up in front just ahead of Malte Braunschweig of Germany going in lane 2. 6 swimmers going for times in this third and final heats. And Will Martin, champion in the 400 free and champion in the 4x100 freestyle relay, 34-pointer here. Very strong butterfly swimmer. Touches first at the 50.
And a very quick first 50 for Will Martin, though we would expect it. Will Martin really came out of nowhere. He was a 10. He wasn't that competitive as a 10. Then he was classed down to a 9. And now it's like he got his head in the game, and he's just been the one to beat in this event. He set the world record fairly recently in April 2021, and he's just on that world record line right now.
So a chance to see the first world record of the day go here through William Martin. Is he going to beat his own world record? He does so in the heats. A confident margin of victory as well over Tim Hodge. Braunschweig of Germany takes third. But William Martin, a stupendous swim from the Australian. Gold in the 400 free, gold in the 4x100 freestyle relay, and a world record in the preliminaries of one of his favorite events. It could be a third gold for the Australian, a world record. 58.14 seconds.
Will Martin so quick off the blocks, and he really uses the underwater to his advantage as he gets out that first 50. You know, in the 100 fly, it's so important that you take out the first 50 fast and you set the pace. But what's key here, and that Will Martin was able to do, where Simone Barlam, for example, sometimes struggles, is that Will Martin can bring it home. Look at the underwater kick. I mean, he uses that. He's almost a body length ahead of the second and third place swimmers here. And then right on the way home, he doesn't give anything up. He continues going strong right into the wall. What a swim for him during preliminaries. We already saw how quick he was during the 400 freestyle, and he did not disappoint in his best event here, the 100 fly.
He certainly did not. Will Martin, world record time in the preliminaries as he wins Heat 3 in sensational fashion ahead of Tim Hodge. Malte Braunschweig of Germany, a 102.1. Advancing to the final, it is Braunschweig who just sneaks in with Schalkenau, but Tim Hodge and Will Martin, 2 Australians against 2 Italians with Berlam and Morlacchi and Jose Maria Alcaraz. He might very well be one to contend for a medal. To the women's 100-meter butterfly S9 we go. 2 heats scheduled. In an event in which the Paralympic record is still held by the great Natalie Detoy. 13 gold medals in her 15 events at the Paralympic Games. Gascon, Konkolichu and Gordichuk. Sarai Gascon. She and Konkoli might fancy their chances in this event. Konkoli is leading the way in the women's 100 fly. She's the fastest in the world this year. She's the European champion, but she is going to have to beat a few quality swimmers if she is to win the gold. She was agonizingly close to winning gold in the women's 200-meter individual medley. And she might be wanting to go out proving a point here, which I suspect she's trying to do with this impressive takeout.
Yeah, I mean, one thing we know about Konkoli is that she typically does have very good finishing speed. In the 400-meter freestyle, she almost chased down Lakeisha Patterson, which is, I mean, remarkable. And then in the 200-meter individual medley, she came out of nowhere that final 50. So she's swimming incredibly well, definitely one to watch out for. And look how far she is ahead of the other swimmers right now. I mean, Sarai Gascon, Xu Jialing, both very good at this.
So this might be a decent time. It is just outside of Paralympic record time, but Sarai Gascon and Xu Jialing touching third quickest overall ahead of Israel's Gordichuk. Now, Konkoli, that is the swim. Xu Jialing, the defending champion, bear in mind.
Yeah, but Xu Jialing, she wasn't even close to Konkoli. I mean, Konkoli attacked this 100 every step of the way. Here she is coming out. She breathes to her right there. That gives her a little peek of the swimmers, and she knows where she stands. And now coming home, she didn't appear to give anything away. In fact, she actually extended her lead during the second 50, and she comes right in over a body length ahead of everyone else here.
A couple of slightly slower times for the swimmers around her. Xu Jialing, the Paralympic champion, and Sarai Gascon has won silver at the last 2 Paralympic Games, but Konkoli, a confident win by over 3.5 seconds. So we go on to the second heat. Claire Supio goes in 2, Elizabeth Smith in 3 for USA, while Summer Schmidt goes for the USA in 6. Sophie Pascoe is on paper favorite for gold, but Sophie Pascoe, 4 events, and she's got, after starting with a bronze and a silver, 2 golds in successive events. The world record holder in this event in the women's 100 fly. Can Sophie Pascoe produce another sensational swim in what is her final event of Tokyo 2020 and perhaps her final Paralympic event? So Sophie Pascoe she's the swimmer who's been there and done it all before when it comes to this heat. She is the world record holder. She is the world champion from London 2012. But having not swum for as long as she has, to come to these games has been very challenging. But in the pool, she looks, in the opening 50 at least, like she's well on her way to a solid time. But Marks is not too far off.
She's not, and Tony Shaw, we know that she's got great closing speed right now. And Sophie Pascoe, we saw her butterfly in the 200-meter individual medley. You know, it was still, even though she's not quite on her times, it was still way ahead of everyone else. And now Sophie Pascoe, she's appears to be struggling a little bit in the second 50 and maybe being chased down by Elizabeth Smith.
So Smith is trying to chase down Sophie Pascoe, and maybe, just maybe, she is going to have her way. Sophie Pascoe, you get an element of her fighting for swims, and where she is going to finish is behind Marks for this heat. The second heat of 2. Marks ahead of Pascoe with Tony Shaw touching third quickest. Summer Schmidt comes home now, while Supio of France comes home in 1:18.94, a 1:09.58 for Sophie Pascoe. Now Pascoe, she knows just how much quicker she can go. So 1:08.03, a slightly slower heat, the second heat. Konkoli might be fancying the gold medal a little more after watching the second heat.
Now here's Pascoe off the start. She's such a strong starter. She really uses everything she can coming off of the blocks, and she went out hard during this first 50. But right here you can see, even though Pascoe touches first off at the wall, Elizabeth Smith is chasing her this whole way down. And one thing we should say about Elizabeth Smith is that she was 4th in Rio, so she was just out of the medals. And there is nothing that sits with a swimmer like a 4th place finish. That one burns. So you know that she's going to be on a tear tonight to try to get herself on the medal stand.
So confirming the results then. It is Elizabeth Smith, 1:08.03 ahead of Sophie Pascoe. Tony Shaw of Great Britain 3rd in this heat. So advancing to the finals. Now, you don't see Chu Chia Ling's name there because she was disqualified from the opening heats with the official results, but Sarai Gascon will still make it through to the final. Tony Shaw is going to be there. Sophie Pascoe, Elizabeth Smith, but Sofia Konkoli of Hungary, she will be targeting nothing short of gold in this final. The men's 100-meter backstroke, S10. Should we try something else? I was going to go for what time is it? It's Kripak time. He's really taken over in such emphatic fashion over the past 2 Paralympic Games. He's been nothing short of dominant. His world record and Paralympic record from the Rio finals still stand. But this is the first heat of 2 in the men's 100-meter backstroke. And going in lane 4 is the man who's come closest to beating Kripak in this event. The Italian Stefano Raimondi, already a gold medalist in the 100 breaststroke. Isaev, Hansen, Raimondi, Takken and Plumipu of Estonia. Keurin Hensen of Netherlands traditionally gets off to really good starts, but has he got enough to challenge Raimondi across 100 meters? Bas Takken, do not discount Bas Takken. Very tall, incredibly powerful kick as well. A man who's capable of swimming quality times in the backstroke. He's already a silver medalist in the men's 400 freestyle is Bas Takken, but this is arguably his best event. Raimondi, though, is at the moment not showing any real intent to get beyond Keurin Hensen. He's starting to come back now. Stefano Raimondi, the 23-year-old, looks like he is going to absolutely scythe past the Dutch swimmer and touch first ahead of the 2 Dutch swimmers, Hensen and Takken. Raimondi just wanting to touch first, wanting to make sure he sets the fastest time in the opening heat in the hopes of setting up another swim alongside Kripak. Keurin Hensen and Bas Takken.
Now going out, typically we talk about Raimondi and how great his underwaters are here, but it was Hensen that really took off at the start, and then even on the wall again. Hensen, he just blew right by Raimondi on these turns. He really gets out there and uses the walls to his advantage. If Hensen, though, could just work on his speed once he pops up, then he actually would be able to challenge Raimondi, but Raimondi, he took it easy during this preliminary swim. He's over about 3 seconds from his sea time. You know that really he is saving it up to go against Kripak in tonight's final. I love watching the rivalry between those two.
So Raimondi ahead of Hensen with Bas Takken touching 3rd quickest. Cardo Plumipu of Estonia 4th. To the 2nd heat, watch out for lane 4. Simple as that. Maxime Kripak. Florent Marais goes in 3 for France. Menciotti goes in 5 for Italy. Cole Pierce of Australia swimming well, but it's difficult to look beyond the world record holder in Kripak, aiming for further gold. The current Paralympic champion. He's won back-to-back European Championship titles as well. He's the reigning world champion and the fastest man in the event this year. Kripak goes in 4. Just winds up into that very, very close to the wall and nice and high, uncoils and shoots himself into the water. And Kripak is into his stroke. for the second heat and should be taking the lead at the 50 and bring it home.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Kripak is comfortably ahead of everyone else, and he's not even moving his arms that quickly. His stroke rate not that high. He looks pretty comfortable, and this is the way that Kripak likes to swim the preliminaries. He does not go his hardest. He really likes to turn it on at night, but already he's over a body length ahead of anyone else in the second heat.
5 golds and 8 medals in total at the Paralympic Games in Rio for Maxim Kripak. In his first 5 events in Tokyo 2020, he's picked up a bronze, a silver, and 3 golds. He's going to be looking for his 4th gold here as he touches the head of Marais of France. A 101.92 for the Frenchman, 103 for Menciotti, who will see him touch 3rd. But Kripak happy to take the win. 1 minute, 0.07 seconds. Again, do not read into the time. It's going to be Raimondi and Kripak against one another in the final.
Kripak, he's got a strong start here. Not as strong of an underwater as Henson that we saw in that first heat, or even Raimondi, but Kripak, coming into the turn, I mean, he was well ahead of everyone else. And then even when he pops up, you can see, even though Marais, for example, is stroking much faster than him, it's Kripak's, what he does underwater. It's such a powerful pull. I mean, he was out here. He went 1:00.07, faster than anyone else in the field right now, but he's capable of a 57 in this event. He's so strong and so dominant.
Yeah, only Raimondi, a 58-second swimmer, but Kripak, a 57-second world record. Kripak ahead of Marais with Menciotti touching 3rd quickest. Popov of Ukraine 4th, and Pierce, a 1:04.03. Might seem advanced, called Pierce, but Kripak and Popov both advanced for Ukraine. 2 Dutch swimmers as well in Henson and Takin, and Menciotti and Raimondi will represent Italy. While for France, the lone French swimmer, he'll have Cole Pierce, the lone Australian swimmer, with him. Now to the women's 100-meter backstroke S10 heats. The start list in the opening heat: Gonta, Roulet, Greenwood, Jenkins. There's some power here. Jenkins has already looked, every time she's in the pool, there's some really good times. Summer Mortimer's world record stands from 2015, a 1:05.86. Indeed, her win in London remains the Paralympic record. There is Michaela Jenkins. She's only 18 years old, but when she won the 100 fly, she looked like she was a veteran in the pool, somebody who had been swimming for quite some time. It was a quality win from the Florida native from Tampa Bay. So often the joke that it's Champa Bay now, given that Tampa Bay Buccaneers are NFL champions and the Lightning are NHL champions. Roulet, Greenwood, Jenkins. Don't discount Gontar in 3. So France's Roulet, 2nd fastest in the world this year. She's not, however, won any international title. And she does have a World Championship silver medal from Mexico in 2017 and a silver and a bronze at the European Championships at the last 2 events. So she might be one to watch. But going along very nicely in 5 is Greenwood. Jasmine Greenwood, she's only 16 years old. The silver medalist in the women's 100 fly is Jenkins. At the World Championships, she was just outside the medals in London in this event. She finished 4th. And there's a 14-year-old. So do not discount Jasmine Greenwood at all based on previous results.
But here comes Roulet right now. Now, Greenwood was just killing Roulet on the walls and the start. She got such an advantage coming off. She really used that underwater in the wall better than Roulet, but Roulet, as she comes into her stroke, she does appear to be doing well, except I think Greenwood, yep, she's going to hold on for the win.
So Greenwood ahead of Roulet. Third fastest is Anna Gontar. Jenkins a 1:14. So it's going to be out of her best time. Greenwood very happy with the victory, regardless of the time, the 1:10.23. Yeah, there's the smile. She's got the win. Great start for Greenwood.
Yeah, Greenwood had an explosive start. She really used her underwater. Roulet and Jenkins did not have great starts by comparison, and this start gave Greenwood the advantage. Even though Roulet, she was faster when she got into her stroke, and she made up a lot of ground, except then Greenwood used the wall again, took back some of what she had lost, and she had given herself enough of a lead that it didn't matter that Roulet came back pretty hard. Greenwood was still able to touch first, even though it's just a preliminary heat. It was a good message to send to Roulet, letting her know that she's going to be strong in finals.
So the 16-year-old who's had a really tough time of it of late, Jasmine Greenwood, finds herself victorious over Annelle Roulet of France, with Anastasia Gontar finishing third quickest. To the start list we go in the second heat. Familiar names, but maybe not Rivard's strongest event. Bianca Papp and Lisa Krieger will be challenging for the top spots here. Is Emmeline Pierre, also not to be discounted. Bianca Papp, one of two Hungarians who will be aiming for gold medals on the day. But she's the fastest woman in the world this year. Aurélie Rivard, a multiple gold medalist at these games, and over 100 meters with freestyle at least, has been nothing short of sensational. Freestyle is her main event, however. Dutch swimmer Krieger, the world champion and certainly a candidate for top spot. Riva, Papp, Krieger, Pierre and Zhang. So Krieger traditionally has a really fast start and a great underwater, but it's Emmeline Pierre who comes out just ahead of the other swimmers. Krieger and Papp on her inside. Rivard immediately a little off the pace from the Canadian. But Bianca Papp, watch out for the speed that she brings to the back half of this race. Silver medalist from Rio.
Yeah, Bianca Papp looking great right now. Lisa Krieger, though, also hanging in there nicely. Lisa Krieger's been having a great meet. Aurélie Rivard, she's up there as well. She's more like fourth coming into this first 50. As you noted, this is not her best event, but sometimes in an off event, a swimmer can really surprise you just because there's less pressure, so you never know what they're going to do.
No doubt we've had a few surprises and some upset winners throughout these Paralympic Games. But this is going a little more to form at the moment, as Bianca Papp will find her way to the wall ahead of Lisa Krieger, with Aurélie Rivard coming home third, it seems. Krieger being challenged here for second spot. She only just manages to get there ahead of Rivard, with Papp comfortably touching quickest. A 1:13.59 for Zhang Meng, who misses out on a top three place, but a 1:13.59, that should see her through to the final. But Bianca Papp, no doubt about the victor.
And Bianca Papp, she had a pretty good start here. Aurélie Rivard actually stayed underwater nicely during this first 50, but then she started to fade. Right here at the wall, it was Krieger and Papp, pretty much stroke for stroke. And then once they got up and really into the stroke, Bianca Papp, this is where she just started to take it. Her head is so still right now. The shoulder rotation right on point. As she just keeps this up, puts her head back and dives into the wall to finish nicely with a 1:09.71. She really is the swimmer to beat in this 100 backstroke.
It's been interesting to watch the French swimmers as well as they prepare for Paris 2024 in 3 years' time. Emmeline Pierre, a 1:13.98. Sub 1:14 should get her into the final, but Pap and Krieger ahead of Riva. So Pap qualifies quickest ahead of Jasmine Greenwood. Roulet will have her French teammate Emmeline Pierre in the final with her. Krieger, Riva, Gonta and Zhang of China. Now to the heats of the men's 100-meter backstroke S14. The start list that includes Ricky Betar, Australian, Japanese-born though. Vasil Krajnik gets an opportunity to go for Ukraine. The only swimmer who's gone sub 60 seconds this year is Vacislav Emeliantsev, who goes in 4. Ben Hans, the world record holder, will go in the third and final heat. Lee Inkuk's Paralympic record still stands. He'll go in the third heat too. But Emeliantsev will go in lane 4 for RPC. Going alongside him in lane 3 is Vasil Krajnik, the Ukraine swimmer. And Ricky Betar in 5, Osaka-born. Maidana, Krajnik, Emeliantsev, Betar, Hui and Halili. It's a great start from Emeliantsev and from Betar as well as they come up in front. But it is Hui of Hong Kong, China who is pushing the early pace. But in the stroke, it's Betar, Emeliantsev and Krajnik who are making up the ground on him now.
Yeah, and right now these swimmers are all pretty much bunched together. It's even hard to tell at the 50 who's going to have it. Maybe Krajnik, yeah, with the slight lead at the 50. So it's important that these swimmers all use their underwater coming into the back half. And of course, with this 100 backstroke, it's important that they control and that they build the second 50, especially as this is just a preliminary swim. At the same time, because these swimmers are so fast and they're so close, they need to make sure they don't take their foot off the gas pedal too much and otherwise miss out on a chance to qualify for finals.
Vasil Krajnik wants to come in the quickest time, and it seems he will be quickest to qualify. He's a very fine IM specialist, is Vasil Krajnik. He's very quick over 50 meters in all 4 strokes. And if he does have a weakness, it is freestyle. Certainly his backstroke is very good, and he will touch first. Ahead of Emeliantsev with Ricky Betar third.
And you can see the arch that all these swimmers get coming off of the blocks. And then, you know, they all pretty much use the underwater very effectively. Krajnik, he went in at the wall with the slight advantage at the 50, and actually Krajnik's, his underwater at the turn is better than anyone else here. And then you see him on the way home. He did control this second 50. He did a nice job swimming this preliminary swim controlled. He put in a 1:01.15, which is a good time for him. In order to medal, though, they're all definitely going to have to be well under a minute.
Confirming the results for you. Krajnik ahead of Emeliantsev, Betar third. Hui of Hong Kong, China holds on for the 4th place overall, ahead of Maidana Khalili 6th. The second heat of 3 in this men's 100 backstrokes is Gabriel Bandeira of Brazil going in lane 4. Jordan Catchpole in his strongest event will go for Great Britain in 5. Mark Evers has continued his, shall we say, lengthy career. Now into his 30s, the Dutch swimmer. But Jordan Catchpole going alongside Bandeira, who's busy taking the tracksuit top off. This is the very quick Brazilian. His closing speed in any event is exceptional, makes him superb for the sprints and indeed for the individual medley, where he finished 2nd. is Mark the Shark Evers of Netherlands. Lawrence Sapp of the United States goes in 1, but Bandera is undoubtedly one to watch going in lane 4. Mark Evers, the 2012 champion. Can he qualify for the final here? So Evers does not get off to a good start. Bandera, however, does. And alongside Catchpole, they come up with Kuliaban, and a big swim potentially from Lawrence Sapp of the United States going in 2 as he is pushing the pace. But it looks to be Catchpole and Bandera, Catchpole and Kuliaban rather, who are getting away.
Yeah, now Catchpole, he's already demonstrated what a strong swimmer he is, and he's been having a solid meet here in Tokyo. Catchpole, he's going to be good on the second half right now, but Kuliaban hanging right there with him. They were almost stroke for stroke. Maybe Catchpole had the slight advantage, but here comes Kuliaban really pulling away now at this final 25 meters. And
Bandera looking to come back at Catchpole as well in the closing stages is Gabriel Bandera. And is it going to be Kuliaban ahead of Catchpole, ahead of Bandera? That's the order indeed. Kuliaban ahead of Catchpole, ahead of Bandera. 4th is Evers, a 103.98, a 104.53 for Lawrence Sapp as he touches 5th. Nathan Mayer of France, a 108.05, 6th quickest. So Kuliaban's gone and touched first in 101.48. Slightly slower time in this heat.
And Bandera, he gets such depth underwater, and you can see he goes, right up to really the 15-meter mark where he, as long as he possibly can. But then Bandera starts to fade. Catchpole taking it out in the early lead alongside Kuliaban. Catchpole hitting the wall nicely, really using the wall effectively, which is important in this 100 backstroke. You want to stay underwater as much as you can because that's the fastest you can go. Then Kuliaban finishing out nicely here, dives for the finish just ahead of Catchpole, but Bandera, he made up a lot of ground. Unsurprisingly, he's such a good finisher.
Well, Catchpole managed to hang in. It's very close at the line. Well, 1500ths of a second separated the top 3. And 200ths of a second separated Kuliaban from Catchpole. The start list for the 3rd and final heat in the men's 100-meter backstroke is 14. The world record holder, Ben Hans of Australia, goes in lane 4. Rhys Dunn of Great Britain goes in 5, and the defending champion from Korea, Lee In-Cook, goes in 6. Here is your world record holder. 57.56. I wonder what he's going to be putting down in the preliminaries, how fast he's going to go. Alongside him is Rhys Dunn, while alongside Rhys Dunn is Lee In-Cook, who is the Paralympic record holder and the defending champion from Korea. Now, what does Lee In-Cook have in the pool today? The 25-year-old champion in Rio. Lee In-Cook also been focusing on butterfly in recent times. In fact, was world champion in Mexico. And should be one to watch, but as I say that, he gets off to the worst possible start. No slip on the line, but his underwater is so exceptional. He's able to come up, but it is Lee In-Cook who is the swimmer who is leading. But once he's into his stroke, Ben Hans is just pulling away.
Yeah, there's really no one in this heat that should be able to touch him. But at the same time, Ben Hans does not need to go that quickly. He's a 57.56 swimmer. That's his world record. But no one so far has put up a time sub 1 minute in this preliminary swim. But it's a lot harder than you think to really time a 100-meter backstroke that right, that you know exactly where you are. But Ben Hans, you know, he's an experienced swimmer, so he doesn't have to go all out. He'll know that. But he does need to be quick enough that he secures himself that middle lane, which is where I suspect he's going to want to be. So slightly off of the world record right now coming home.
Yeah, but it's going to be a sub 60-second swim, and that is what is most important here for Ben Hans. Paralympic record goes, and Hans touches ahead of Dunn, with Lee, the defending champion, third quickest. Just outside in fourth was Louis Lawler, while Parker Egbert touched fifth and sixth, Cho Won-sung. And he's done, having a little look around. He knows how quick that swim was alongside him. Lee and Cook, while he's a 58-second swimmer at his best, he's not going to go 57.75. Not at the moment, unless he rapidly and dramatically improves on his best time. But a 57.75, that has basically taken every other swimmer out of contention for the gold.
Now, while Ben Hans's start coming off the block, it looked good. It was a little sluggish coming off. That's definitely someplace that he should look to improve for tonight's final if he wants to hit the world record. But then he was so far out ahead of everyone else coming off of the wall. He used the underwater nicely, and by the time he got into the second 50, he was just so far ahead of everyone else. Look at that stroke. It's so clean. And he comes into the wall nicely. He went 57.75, so about 2/10 off of his world record. I do think he started to flirt with it here during preliminaries. That world record is in jeopardy for tonight.
It certainly is, considering that he lost at least 15 hundredths of a second off the starters blocks. So a 57.75 Paralympic record for the Australian world record holder, Rhys Dunn, second quickest, and Lee and Cook, the defending champion, just outside a minute. Advancing to the final, Hans ahead of Dunn, ahead of Lee. Russell Kreinik is into the final. 2 RPC swimmers in Kulibin and Emiliantsev, and 3 from Great Britain, as Catchpole and Lawler join Dunn. Now for the women's 100-meter backstroke, S14 heats. The first of 2. We'll see Valeria Shabalina back in the pool, the 26-year-old who's already picked up 3 gold medals in her 4 events, and might very well have had a 4th were she not disqualified in the relay, the 4x100 freestyle relay with her compatriots. Alongside her, Madeline McTurnan of Australia. 20-year-old. While Chan Yui Lam goes for Hong Kong, China in 3. It's the first individual event for McTurnan. This is a specialist event. A 5th event for Shabalina, who's got 3 gold medals in Tokyo. The call of relax. Seems to be a bit of a concern here for Angela Marina, the Canadian swimmer. Perhaps just with the backstroke ledge. Start negotiated. Shabalina, reaction time not quite as good, but once she's in the pool, she is superb. And indeed, it just seems it is going to be very difficult for anybody to challenge her. But McTurnan is in her specialist event and is focused on this event. Maybe there's a challenge to come from the Australian over Shabalina.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, McTurnan's stroke rate is much faster than Shabalina, who appears to be going pretty comfortably right now. Shabalina doesn't have the fastest turnover rate typically really in any of her strokes, and so that is someplace that McTurnan, she could try and use that to her advantage. Shabalina with the slight advantage right there on the turn.
So this is an event in which Shabalina will be up against great British competitors, you imagine, for the gold medal, but the British swimmers will be going in the second heat with Firth and Applegate, but certainly Shabalina here against McTernan. It's a little closer than Shabalina would be comfortable with, as McTernan is less than half a body length behind as she comes to the wall now. It's a safe time. A 1:08.64 ahead of McTernan's 1:09.65, with Chan touching third quickest, a 1:12.57 in this heat. Pernilla Lindberg of Sweden came home relatively quickly to finish a 1:14.71, but left it too late to fight back for a place. But the 8 fastest swimmers from the heats will advance to the final, regardless of where you finish in your heat. Shabalina, the winner.
See McTernan, she had the much quicker start right there, and that gave her a nice advantage coming out. But then Shabalina, once she gets into her stroke, even though it's a slower stroke, she's got a slower turnover. It's really about what she does underwater. Here coming out of the turn, again, McTernan with that beautiful turn, really uses the underwater fly kick. And then she starts to catch Shabalina a lot. She really makes up a lot of ground during the second 50. But Shabalina, such an experienced swimmer, and she's more efficient in every single stroke. And here she is diving, coming into the wall first. McTernan, though, just proved that she's going to be difficult to beat in the final.
So results confirmed. Shabalina ahead of McTernan, with Chan Yui Lam of Hong Kong, China finishing third quickest. To the start list of the second heat we go. And Japan have 2 competitors going in lanes 1 and 6. Serizawa Mikiki of Japan goes in 1. Fukui Kasumi goes in lane 6. But the focus will be on the British swimmers, Bethany Firth and Jessica Jane Applegate. And maybe Ana Carolina Soares de Oliveira of Brazil, who goes in lane 3. Ruby Storm at 17, she's been rapidly improving on her times, and Poteshkin is never out of contention. So Firth and Applegate will be the swimmers to watch. Bethany Firth is not only the world record holder, she's the Paralympic record holder and the defending champion when it comes to this event. Applegate, the second fastest in the world this year, with a European title in Madeira to her name. But she took bronze in Rio 5 years ago, in an event in which Great Britain have traditionally had the best contenders, the 2-time defending Paralympic champion Firth, first at the wall.
Between Firth, Applegate, and Shabalina, it seems like every single one of their events, they tend to be on the medal stand. It's just a question of in which order. Firth, she's been upset by Shabalina quite a bit, though, during these games, and she's definitely going to look to beat Shabalina in this event if she can. Firth with these beautiful walls and such a great start. That is where she has the way to take it from Shabalina if she wants. Firth also does appear to have a quicker turnover rate.
And this is going to be the gold that Firth is targeting. While she has a relay gold, she has 2 silvers in individual events, as Firth touches quickest ahead of Applegate. And a 1:07.16 ahead of 1:08.41. This is the quicker of the 2 heats. So Bethany Firth will have the inside lane for the final. The battle against Shabalina is on.
And here you can see just how dominant Firth is underwater. Look how much farther she gets. Look at that kick in comparison to everyone else. She stays under so much longer than anyone else, and that gives her the immediate lead coming out. And then again during this 50 at the wall, again, here you can see her right next to Applegate. Firth, even though she turned first, she actually stays underwater longer than Applegate right next to her. And then by the time she's on the second 50 and in the last 25 meters of the race, this one is hers. So if there's an event that she can take down Shabalina, this is it. So Bethany Firth needs to be on her times and on her game to do it.
So Firth ahead of Applegate. Ana Carolina Soares de Oliveira of Brazil Here's third quickest. Ruby Storm, a 1:12.71. That should see her comfortably into the final 8. Advancing from the heats to the final, first ahead of Applegate and Shabalina. The battle continues, but McTurnan, this is her specialist event, and Ruby Storm, again, some positive times for the young Australian. Now to the men's 50-meter backstroke. Yes, to classification. And we'll start on the opposite side of the pool for these. And we have a couple of heats for you to enjoy. Makri Dimitris of Greece will be going in lane 2. This is going to be an event that you feel will be dominated by Bondarenko and Araujo. That should be a cracking challenge. Come final time. Poland's Jacek Czech getting ready to enter the pool for this event. There is Jacek Czech. Up against Bondarenko, has been helped to the pool. Competitors will start in the water. Roman Bondarenko. And from Kharkiv, 5th in the freestyle final in Paralympic Games in Rio, 6th in this backstroke final. But he's recently been crowned European champion. 57.16. His quickest. Makro Dimitris of Greece goes in 1. He's already made 2 finals. Dimitris in London was the silver medalist in the 50-meter backstroke. He goes in 1. But Bondarenko going in 4. He uses the double arm backstroke. He pulls a lot of water, and right now it is Bondarenko and Czech who seem to be alongside one another, going very nicely in 4 and 5.
So this is the S2 classification. These swimmers are mainly relying on their arms. They have little control of their hands, trunks, and legs. That control is pretty limited. And you can see right now that Bondarenko, he's using a double arm backstroke technique. That's because it would be very hard for him to twist his shoulders and do the rotation. And the use of the double arm backstroke technique, it provides more stability in the water and allows him to maximize that underwater pull, which is propelling him forward.
So Bondarenko just pulling away now, and the 37-year-old is going to come to the wall ahead of his nearest competitor, Jacek Czech, and Pane Bratec of Ukraine touches 3rd quickest overall. Pane Bratec a 1:03.09, 59.30 for Bondarenko, under 60 seconds. Good swim from the reigning European champion.
Right off the start, you can see that most of these swimmers, they get assistance off the start, and then they go right into their stroke. There's a variety of different backstrokes used here. Primarily, though, the swimmers are using the double arm backstroke technique, and you can see how that allows them to really maximize their pull underwater because they're not able to do the twist that allows them to really increase their stroke rate above with that single arm backstroke. And here is the finish. Bondarenko comes right in at the end.
Confirming the results. Bondarenko ahead of Jacek Czech with Evgen Pane Bratec, who is yet to medal in any major international event. with a 103.09. Makro Dimitris, the former silver medalist, is fourth. To the start list of this second heat of two. Immediately, Abarsa and Araujo, the names jump out at you. While Tronco's been around for some time and is a grand competitor, Abarsa and Araujo have got to be two of the favorites for the title, never mind just in this heat. Araujo, a character and a multiple medalist already at these games. That's Rodrigo Santillan of Peru. He's only 16, making his Paralympic Games debut here. In the Open European Championships in Funchal in May, and an opportunity to give swimmers from around the world an opportunity to get some competitive action in. They ended up having swimmers from around the world. Santillan was among them. He made the final and ended up 7th. But the character that is Araujo, this is his third and final event. His first event, he picked up silver only narrowly in the men's 100 backstroke. And then in the men's 200 freestyle, he picked up gold. Did Araujo, going in 4. Uses that towel to start. Towel in the mouth. And Abarsa, while he doesn't get much off the wall, his stroke rate is so impressively quick and he has great speed through the water. So Araujo will use much of his leg power. Christopher Tronco as well, going in lane 1. It's all about the leg power for the Mexican going in lane 1. But it is Araujo who's leading up to the 25-meter.
He is, but Abarsa, he does look like he's catching him a bit. He's using that arm speed to try and make up as much time as he can. Araujo, though, trying to maintain that kick. Araujo, he surprised all of us. He was second in the 100-meter backstroke, but then what we expected him to tire in the 200-meter freestyle, it's like he found another gear during the second 100. So you never really know with Araujo what he's going to pull out in this 50 backstroke. You would think he's going to take it, but right now Abarsa coming in very hard at the end.
So it is Araujo who touches ahead of Abarsa. Danilenko touches third quickest, but again, South American appeal to this race with Santillan competing. He touches 6th overall, with Gabriel Araujo touching first, 56.82. That is a very quick time to go into the final.
And Araujo and Tronco, wow, look at their starts underwater. I mean, they just gain so much ground underneath. And then Araujo, he comes into his stroke, such a steady kick throughout the whole way through, and he uses that to maintain a lead over Abarsa. Abarsa coming up quick on him at the end because he has the use of his arms here. Araujo, though, had given himself just enough of a lead that he was able to finish first.
Confirming the results, it is Gabriel Araujo who touches ahead of Alberto Abarsa. Both are silver and gold medalists at these games already. We'll be fancying going out on a high. It's confirming advances to the final. Araujo ahead of Abarsa. Bondarenko third quickest overall. A couple of swimmers from RPC as Pani Bartet makes it. And Makro Dimitris into another final. Now to the final of the women's 50 the heats of the women's 50-meter backstroke S2. the first heat, seeing Yamada of Japan going in the favored lane. Michanova of RPC will also go in this heat. The first of two scheduled. 5 swimmers to go in the second heat, which will be dominated undoubtedly by Singaporean Yip. The women's 50-meter backstroke S2. World record holder Yip Pin Shu. And she'll fancy a crack at her own world record going in the second heat. But in the opening heat, it's about these 4 swimmers: Fabiola Ramirez, Yamada Miyuki, Veronika Mechanova, and Katarina Draganov-Kordas. There is Ramirez just adjusting her goggles before she makes her way into the pool. The 31-year-old, a bronze medalist in the backstroke already. Her first major international medal, which is almost overwhelming for her. Yamada Miyuki, she's only 14 years old, the youngest Japanese swimmer here. Well, alongside her goes Michanova of RPC. She finished outside the medals in the backstroke, over 100 meters. She's going to need a quicker lead-out time here if she's to medal. Or set herself up for the final at least. Ramirez, Yamada, Michanova, and Draganov-Kordas. Ramirez using just a little rope and handle to go. The remainder all being helped by assistance. As Ramirez gets away, but it is in lane 4, Yamada, who is looking best for the time being.
Ramirez, I mean, she was able to use the underwater, but she actually spent so much time underwater that Yamada started getting into her kick a little bit earlier, and that gave her the early advantage. And here Yamada, you know, she's just kicking with her legs. So like Arujo, it's important that she maintains that kick throughout, because the other swimmers that are using their arms are going to start to pull up on her, especially towards the end as the legs tire.
Well, she showed her strength in the women's 100-meter backstroke when she was able to hold on for a silver medal despite fast-closing competitors in the field. But the 14-year-old here is going to come to the wall comfortably ahead of both Ramirez and Michanova on either side of her. Ramirez, in fact, might touch just ahead of Michanova. Ramirez is coming into the wall a lot faster than the RPC swimmer, and indeed the Mexican does touch second behind Yamada's winning time of 109.44. Coming to the wall now is Katarina Draganov-Kordas, a Serbian swimmer, 25 years old, who finds herself making her Paralympic Games debut. Represented Serbia at the European Championships, did Draganov-Kordas, before she suffered her accident.
So Yamada, she doesn't use an underwater at all, and Ramirez at the top of the screen, you can't see her at all because she's still underwater. Ramirez spent the most time underwater, but really Yamada, she went right into that kick very early, and once, you know, she popped up, she got right into the kick, and she used it to take that early lead, and she never really let it go at all, and she was able to maintain the strength of the kick throughout the 50, which is so important. And here, even going into the wall, you can see how strong she is. She doesn't really fade at all.
Results for you: Yamada ahead of Ramirez, Michanova third overall, and Draganov-Kordas fourth in 1:32.98. She'll watch the second heat with interest. the start list we go in the women's 50-meter backstroke S2. And Yip going in lane 4. It's quite simply Yip's race to lose. She swims at times that nobody else in this classification can match. She won this in Rio, and 8 years before that in Beijing she had won the title in the S3 classification. With the reigning world champion, the world record holder, the Paralympic defending champion. She is the star athlete, the main protagonist. She's just got an absolute dominance in the backstroke. Going in China in lane 5, Feng Yazhu. Angela Procida of Italy will be hoping for a podium place as well. The 21-year-old who goes on the outside of Yip. This is Feng being helped to the wall. The Turkish swimmer in Ildem Elif. Bear in mind, she is an S1 swimmer. Hungarian Sanet Adami just getting into her position. She swims under the lane ropes and in, so too does Procida of Italy. Assistants will hold them against the wall but cannot offer any support and cannot propel the competitors into the water either. Yip in lane 4, getting away very quickly. Great reaction time from Yip, but once she's into her stroke, I'm not sure how many other competitors, not even in this heat, can compete with Yip. She's got such a quick stroke, but lovely to watch as well. Great shoulder rotations.
She does, and that is so important in this stroke for her because you can see she doesn't really have control over her hands. So she can't even catch the water as she comes underneath. That means everything with her is driven by her shoulders and the rotation and how fast her arms are spinning right now. And right now, they're spinning pretty quickly. Now, when Yip is on her times, I was just looking, she's actually faster than some of the men, which is remarkable. I mean, this is only a 50, but look how far she is ahead of everyone else, several body lengths ahead. It's just one length of the pool. She's such a dominant swimmer in this classification.
She is. I mean, Procida, by comparison, is finishing second here, and Procida was second at the World Championships. Yip Bin Chu of Singapore is going to come to the wall in a 1:03.61. Again, the class act in this field. Angela Procida is going to come second, with Feng Yazhu coming home third quickest. But Angela Procida, that's again a decent swim at 1:14.95 for her, but it is Yip who is so dominant. A 1:27.13 for Adami as she touches for Hungary, and a 1:32.86. That's 4 seconds below her seed time, the S1 swimmer going in lane 2 for Turkey. Nobody can match you.
And even on the start, you know, one of the differences with Yip is that she starts and her backstroke arms, they're not even extended the way some of the other swimmers are. They're, you know, they're more on the touchpad, which allows her to spring backwards. And now she's in her stroke. You can see she's not even able to catch the water underneath. That means everything is driven by stroke rate and a little bit of rotation where she can. And what she does is she keeps up such a pace that she moves through the water at such a faster rate than anyone else, and she keeps that stroke rate up all the way until the end. She went at 1:03.61, which is not a great swim for her in preliminaries, but even being off of her times, she's still so much farther ahead than anyone else in that heat.
Yeah, the only swimmer to go sub 60 seconds in this classification, in this race, is Yip, who has taken it in 1:03.61, well ahead of World Championship silver medalist Prochida Feng of China, third. And the S1 swimmer, that's a personal best for Eldem. So the S1 swimmer has actually reached the final with her 1:32.86. Zanet Adami will finish in qualification time. Prochida into the final. Fabiola Ramirez, quick finish from her. Yamada Miyuki will be challenging for a medal for Japanese hopes. But Yip is the class act and qualifies quickest. To the men's 50-meter freestyle S3 we go. Chance to enjoy Zhou Liankang in action once again. The likes of Denis Ostapchenko also going in the opening heat. But this is a race that has long been dominated by Mexican swimmers. Wang Wenpan, the world record holder and the Paralympic record holder. Brazilian Bruno Becker da Silva, an S2 swimmer, goes in lane 8. So for him, this is largely about personal barriers. Here is Zhou Liankang. It was Chakom Kausri. We saw the back off for just a moment. Celebrated a birthday at the Games, but has also been disqualified for in one of his events. Belyaev is a scratch in lane 7. Zoran Ostapchenko. Now Zhou and Ostapchenko, neither of them start off the blocks. They both have in-water starts, but Ostapchenko showing real speed in the opening stages here. Top of Germany is going strong for the time being up to the 25-meter mark.
Yeah, top right now, he got out to that early lead, and sometimes the lead in the 50, it allows the swimmer to hang on since it's only one length of the pool. Zhou Liankang, this is where he typically starts to make his move, but he may have been out a little bit too slow to catch Top right now, who is hanging on.
Yeah, Top is having a grand storming charge to the line here. The 18-year-old is being caught, but will he be caught on the line? Top is going to take it here into his third final. He will go after making the IM and backstroke finals. That's a good swim from the German ahead of Ostapchenko and Zhou. Never a medalist for any event at either the World or the European Championships, as he is into his first Paralympic Games. He has won the opening heat here. Top in 46.48.
And Top, I mean, you can't even see him right now. He's still underwater. And he stays underwater for quite a bit in comparison to anyone else, and that underwater is what gives him the immediate advantage. And because this is only one 50-meter freestyle, it's just one lap, it's okay for him to go out really early, and the danger of him fatiguing too much is not there as much as it is in a 100, where sometimes these swimmers that are entirely on their legs really start to fade. Here you can see, you know, the final splurge at the end from Ostapchenko, but Zhou and Ostapchenko did not have enough room to catch Top, who had gone out so fast early on.
Confirming the results for you, it is 46.48 for Top as he goes just below his seed time. Ostapchenko a 46.73, Zhou Liankang third quickest overall. Thailand's Kausri finishing in 5th.
This is heat 2.
So to heat 2 we go. Grant Patterson is already a multiple medalist at these games. He goes in lane 2 for Australia. Bronze in the 150 individual medley. Silver in the men's 50-meter breaststroke. But difficult to go beyond Diego Lopez. Although a bronze medalist there, Scooter Patterson. Diego Lopez is the 50-meter freestyle world champion and goes in lane 4. So watch out for the speed of Kostakis. Grant Patterson, though, should be battling in lane 2 to keep up pace, but you can bet that he is going to do everything he can to keep pace with this man, Diego Lopez. Lopez, while he hasn't had the greatest success at these Paralympic Games, with a bronze medal in the 50 back, his best event, his chance to swim against somebody like Patterson and win. In this event, he would fancy it. The 50 free specialist who goes with the backstroke to the wall. And he's only just ahead of his compatriot and Jesus Hernandez, with Serhii Paralympic looking for a third place touch. It is going to be Lopez ahead of Hernandez, with Paralympic finishing third quickest. Patterson touches fifth quickest overall behind Vincenzo Boni of Italy. World champion. He's a 43-second swimmer over this race.
Now, Diego Lopez Diaz really led this race the entire way. Hernandez, he hung with him, and Palamarchuk was also right there. I mean, these three swimmers were so closely bunched. Patterson, you can see right there with that very fast turnover, but just wasn't able to keep pace with the long arm span of the other swimmers right in the middle of the pool. And here Patterson way behind there. Lopez Diaz, Hernandez, and Palamarchuk very closely bunched, which is fairly atypical for those lower classes, but it shows you just how competitive those three swimmers are.
Confirming the results, Diego Lopez ahead of Jesus Hernandez, with Palamarchuk third, Vincenzo Boni 49.78, well ahead of Grant Patterson, who touched fifth, sub 55. Not sure he'll make the final. Top, though, is comfortably atop the leaderboard as the combined times are on display. These are the swimmers who make the final. Diego Lopez and Jesus Hernandez will fancy medals, but Ostapchenko and Palamarchuk both in the final for Ukraine, but top of Germany, the quickest to qualify. Under the watchful eye of Suometi, the Paralympic mascot, the men's 50-meter freestyle S4 heats to come. The star list including Luigi Beggiato of Italy, David Smetanin. This is an event in which he has had some success in years gone by. He's got 3 Paralympic medals to his name, including gold in Beijing 2008. Going in 6 for Czech Republic, Arnost Petracek. He's the champion from European champs in Dublin in 2018, Petracek. Getting away nicely in lane 3 was Smetanin. It looks like, though, it's Mats Topkin of Estonia who is quickest out of the blocks, as Arnos Petracek makes up some ground now on him, and Luigi Beggiato is definitely making up some ground, the 23-year-old Italian, twice a silver medalist already at these games. And Beggiato looks like he's going to romp to the win. A 50-meter freestyle gold medalist in Funchal at the European Championships. He will take it. Beggiato ahead of Petracek. Smetany's third quickest. It's the first of 3 heats.
Beggiato right here, he uses the in-water start, and he can't match the opening speed of the swimmers who are able to dive off their block. But what Beggiato does so well is that he comes back during the second 25 meters of the race. Already here, coming out, you see him start to inch up on the other swimmers who are able to use their legs and to propel themselves forward with that hip movement. But then it's where the arms come in, that Beggiato, that's where he gets such speed at the end, because he's able to really increase his stroke rate and use his long wingspan to take that heat.
Results for you: Luigi Beggiato ahead of Arnos Petracek. David Smetanin touching third quickest to 42.68. But in the first of 3 heats, times that may not make the final. Beggiato, though, some 40 seconds. That should be safe enough for him. Start list for you for the second heat. Jo Gi-sung goes. So to Suzuki Takayuki of Japan. Ariel Malya, the brother of Mark Malya, a multiple medalist at these games, including champion Mark Malya. So Japan's Suzuki. He is one of the quickest in the world this year. And definitely a medal hopeful for Japan. This is his 5th Paralympic Games. He's got the 2nd best time of the year, Suzuki. We've spoken about the fact that at 34, a man in his 4 previous Paralympic Games had picked up 5 Paralympic Games medals. He's picked up 4 in 4 events in Tokyo. And he has got this as his final event to make it 5. Suzuki will go in 4 alongside Jo Gi-sung of Korea. What does Suzuki have in the pool here? Ariel Malya getting off to a solid start. Cordeiro da Silva of Brazil look to be quick, but by the time they're into their stroke, Suzuki and Jo Gi-sung should take this from Malya, who's still leading the way, but Suzuki coming back at him now.
Yeah, he is. I mean, Suzuki, he has been on fire this meet. Malya, though, really trying to keep up with the rest of them. He was out very strong with Suzuki, but Suzuki has really proven what a formidable force he is during these games. Here he is, way ahead of everyone else, coming in at the end of just 1 length of the 50.
So the freestyle gold medalist in the 100 is the first to touch at the wall in the 50 as Suzuki touches ahead of Camacho of Mexico at a really strong back 25. The swim from Mark Malya got off to a really good start, swimming for 40.48 seconds home to the wall, with Jo Gi-sung touching 4th overall. But Suzuki Takayuki set to add in this Paralympic Games what his entire career had hauled so far.
And these swimmers here in this S4 classification, they employ a variety of different techniques for the start. Out early is Suzuki, though. You can see Malya trying his best to keep up with him, but Suzuki is just too strong as he starts to pull away, and he's way ahead of anyone else coming into the final. You know, he went 38.25, excellent swim for him this morning, and faster than anyone else in the prior heat. Dadon is going to be his biggest competitor coming into heat 3.
So Suzuki Takayuki confirmed his victory over Angel de Suscamacho of Mexico. Malya over Gi-sung. Now to the start list of the third and final heat in this men's 50-meter freestyle S4 heat. Roman Zhdanov and Ami Omar Dadon continue their rivalry. Dadon victorious in the men's 200-meter freestyle. While Dadon holds more than one world record, he does not have the world record in this event. Belongs to Cameron Leslie of New Zealand. Hanada Yuji of Japan, the Paralympic record holder from 2004. But both Dadon and Zhdanov might be fancying that in the years ahead. So Dadon got off to a terrible start, but into his stroke, he is so quick that Eric Tobera, who is out quickest, is being caught by him. Liu Benying is very dangerous, but he is unable to keep up the pace. And
yeah.
Already Dadon looking to be the swimmer to catch.
I mean, Dadon, he doesn't typically get out to great starts at all, and he certainly didn't here. But look how far, I mean, it's only a 50. And going into the last 10 meters here, I mean, he's already ahead of anyone else. That's how fast his stroke rate is, 38.42. So the only one that's faster than him at this point, I think, is Suzuki. So a good swim for Dadon, but remember, he was disqualified in the 100-meter freestyle, so Dadon has something to prove in the 50.
So Dadon, disqualification, a silver and then a gold in his events so far at Tokyo 2020. He touches in 38.42 ahead of Liu Benying and Tobera of Brazil.
And Dadon way behind after the start. He gets nothing off of the start, but what he does so well is he gets into his stroke. And then here, I mean, Liu Benying, he went out fast. You can see him here, but then Liu Benying, he fades fast as well, and that's where Dadon really turns it on. He keeps the stroke rate high. He actually builds this 50 and comes in so hard at the end.
And here are your qualifiers for tonight's finals of the men's 50-meter freestyle S4.
Results for you. Ami Omar Dadon, 38.42. Liu Benying, 39.98, sub 40 seconds. So they're comfortably into the final. Tobera might make it with a 41.38. Zhdanov, I think that might be too slow for Roman Zhdanov. Advancing to the final, Suzuki Takayuki is quickest ahead of Dadon, but Giotto third quickest, and Arnold de Suscamacho will be a contender. Benying has got a great start. Ariel Malya makes it into the final as well. Two Israelis in the men's 50 freestyle S4 final. The women's 50-meter freestyle S4 heats. 2 heats to come before the session is concluded.
This is the women's 50-meter freestyle S4 heats.
Ariella Trimi jumps out at you, but she is an S3 swimmer. That is the quality of Ariella Trimi. Do not discount Alexandra Stamatopoulou. She will go in lane 3 for Greece, while Natalia Butkova of RPC is another to watch, going in 5. Class act, though, is Ariella Trimi. Going in lane 4 will be Trimi. Sofia Gabudulina still going strong. She goes in lane 6 for Kazakhstan. So Trimi. The Italian goes into the water. 3 events, 1 silver, 2 golds for Ariella Trimi. Thoroughly consistent performer, the Albanian-born Italian. Well, for the likes of Zulfia Gabadulina, the 55-year-old Kazakh who goes in lane 6, a Paralympic champion previously in the 100 freestyle and still a record holder in various events. But at the moment, it looks to be a really good swim from Zhou Yanfei going for China in lane 2, but it is the likes of Trimi and Budkova who are fighting back, the blue and pink caps side by side, while Zhou of China is still in the mix. It looks to be Trimi who's going to show her class and come to the wall first. Indeed, the Italian is quickest to touch. It is Budkova just behind Zhou. Fourth fastest, Gabadulina, 55, is still showing how competitive she can be. To the wall now, Yulia Safonova. 101.46 for Ukraine swimmer. Now Trimi, an S3 swimmer against the S4s. That's tough enough as it is. But to then beat the S4 swimmers, she continues just to show how incredible her stroke is.
Yeah, and she didn't even go a particularly good time. She went 42.88, so she's a bit off of her C time, yet she still managed to come ahead here despite being way behind at the start. And even though she doesn't have as fast of a turnover rate as the other swimmers in here, her stroke itself is more efficient and she pulls more underwater. So it's a more efficient stroke than the other swimmers, and that's what allows her to get to the wall first.
So Trimi ahead of Zhou Yanfei with Natalia Budkova finishing third quickest, and 55-year-old Gabadulina, who is gold medalist in the 100 free in Rio, finds herself fourth ahead of Stamatopoulou of Greece. Patricia Pereira dos Santos is quick, and Marta Fernandez will be swimming in lane 3, already a multiple medalist and now champion at the Paralympic Games for the first time. Ellie Chalice is an S3 swimmer. She'll go in lane 1 for Great Britain. But the champion of the 50 freestyle S4 is the 29-year-old Rachel Watson. She's the world record holder and the Paralympic record holder. She swam 40 seconds in Rio, 40.13 to win in Rio 5 years ago. She did, however, finish second to Trimi at the World Championships. Just getting across to her lane. The story of Fernandez, Marta Fernandez. Gold in the women's 50-meter breaststroke SB3, and swimming as an S4 swimmer, won silver in the 50 fly. So the assistants have control of their swimmers, and the technical officials just marshalling the starts. So the advantage for the swimmers off the blocks. Butcher of Germany going along nicely from the start, but straight into the stroke. And Fernandez in this 50 freestyle leg swimming her strongest stroke, which is the butterfly. Really powerful shoulders, great turnover speed.
And this is interesting because Fernandez, we talked about how she swam up a class in the 50-meter butterfly. So now she's swimming with her class and doing the 50 fly again and still winning. Now, Rachel Watson, she got off to a pretty sluggish start, and she's way behind. She's actually sitting in about fourth, which is surprising for her here.
Yeah, she's going to touch outside. It's going to be Fernandez who touches ahead of Pereira dos Santos, with Nelly Miranda touching third quickest for Mexico. In fact, the defending champion, Rachel Watson, fourth for the Australian going in lane 4. Ellie Chalice, 54.94 for Ellie Chalice, who went for Great Britain in lane 1, but as an S3 swimmer. Fernandez very strong fly stroker.
And here you see Rachel Watson way behind at the start here. Fernandez immediately going into the butterfly stroke. She's using this now. You know, here's her chance to finally do her 50 fly with the right classification. And she's way out ahead here, despite the chasers coming from behind. She's got just a steady stroke. She doesn't really fade at all coming into the wall. There's a bit of a charge from the other swimmers here, including from Rachel Watson, who really tried to turn it on at the end, but no one was strong enough to touch Fernandez. And so maybe Trimi, she's going to be a little bit surprised. She and Watson have really been playing, you know, back and forth with that 1-2 position, but the charge here and the real competition may be from Fernandez.
Yeah, Fernandez, this is a big swim for her because in the last few months, she's gone from April time of 43 high to 41.39 now. She swam 42 to win the European Championships. So this is a very good time from Marta Fernandez, who qualifies quickest ahead of Patricia Pereira dos Santos, Ariola Trimi, never discount her, Nelly Miranda, already a medalist, and Rachel Watson, the defending champion, qualifies 5th fastest. Fernandez, so many great stories. So many great stories from the session in the pool. Can you say Will Martin? Incredible that the Australian broke a world record in the heats in the men's 100 fly S9 classification. That should be a very entertaining final to come. And a couple of moments for you that stand out from the day.
Well, I mean, you always love it when Will Martin breaks a new world record. I also just loved watching Fernandez use her butterfly again. She had such a great story in the 50 fly, and now to use the fly again during the freestyle, that'll be great.
Some of the incredible action that we have already enjoyed at the Tokyo Aquatic Center for session 17. There are only 3 swimming sessions to go at Tokyo 2020, and one of those will be heats. 2 final sessions to come with 31 gold, silver and bronze medals to be dished out. And in terms of performances in the pool, there are some great matchups to come. Fantine and Glock, perhaps?
Yeah, definitely. I'm dying to see if Fantine is finally going to charge that very old world record in the 400-meter freestyle. Another good one is Will Martin going to break his 100 fly world record again. And then, of course, the ongoing battle between Kripak and Raimondi.
Raimondi,
That's
yes.
going to be a good one.
Well, certainly good to look forward to. That is where we're going to leave it for this session. The 17th session in the pool at Tokyo 2020 is complete. Final session to come.